Hi, I'm Charlene Curtis, your coordinator of basketball officials. I have prepared this video for you as a preview to what you will see and hear from the NCAA regarding officiating for the 2015-16 season. As you prepare for the upcoming season, you and your team will benefit by reviewing the rules changes that have been implemented for the upcoming season. I will highlight some of those changes on this video. The women's game has taken a bold step forward by changing to a 4-period format. The new format allows for a reduction in the number of team call timeouts and media timeouts that should result in more continuous, sustained play. Later in this video, I will show you examples of how the team called and media timeouts will work. With the 4-period format, team fouls will reset after each period except for the overtime period. Teams will shoot 2 free throws for each common foul, starting with the 5th team foul in each period. There will no longer be 1-and-1 bonus free throws. And just as exciting is a team's ability to advance the ball from the backcourt to the front court by calling a timeout in the last 59.9 seconds of the game. So just how may a team advance the ball? During the last 59.9 seconds of the 4th period, and/or any overtime period, Team A gains control of the ball in the backcourt and has not yet dribbled or passed the ball. Team A calls a timeout. The official who recognizes the called timeout will ask the head coach if the coach wants a 30 or a full timeout, and whether or not the coach wants to advance the ball to the 28-foot mark in the front court. The official will then grant the called timeout and notify the table and the opposing coach that Team A will advance the ball to the 28-foot mark. After the timeout, Team A will resume play from the 28-foot mark. Here are some examples of how the option to advance will work. Team A rebounds a missed shot by the opponent. Prior to dribbling or passing the ball, Team A head coach or player calls a timeout. Team A has the option to advance the ball. In this play, Team A steals a pass into the post. Prior to dribbling or passing the ball, Team A head coach or player calls a timeout. Team A has the option to advance the ball. Team B successfully makes a field goal or free throw. Even if Team A player runs the baseline or is unable to complete a throw-in but calls timeout prior to the 5-second throw-in violation, Team A has the option to advance the ball. Backcourt play will also be impacted by a change in the 10-second backcourt rule. In previous seasons, the 10-second count would reset on all new throw-ins into the backcourt. There are now 3 exceptions in the new rule. There will be no reset of the 10-second backcourt count when the defense causes the ball to be out of bounds, or the offense retains possession after a held ball, or there is a technical foul assessed to the offensive team. Here are some examples of the new 10-second backcourt rule. Team A starts its possession with a new shot clock. As A1 is dribbling the ball up the court, B1 deflects the ball out of bounds. There are 25 seconds on the shot clock. Team A now has just 5 seconds to advance the ball into the front court. The shot clock has been turned off because there are less than 30 seconds remaining in a period. The trail official is visibly counting the 10 seconds for the backcourt rule. A2 is in control of the ball in the backcourt for 6 seconds when B2 creates a held ball. Team A has the AP arrow and retains possession of the ball. The official will visibly and verbally let both benches and the table know that Team A has just 4 seconds remaining on the count before violating the 10-second backcourt rule. Here is a good example of the new 10-second count and the option to advance the ball. Team A starts to dribble while still in the backcourt. Team B defender deflects the ball and causes the ball to go out of bounds. Team A retains possession and now has a throw-in. If Team A does not call a timeout, Team A does not get a new 10-second count. But if Team A calls a timeout, Team A will now have a new 10-second backcourt count following the throw-in. And if there are 59.9 seconds or less remaining in the game, Team A has the option to advance the ball. Now let's discuss the new media timeout format. There will be 7 total electronic media timeouts in our games. There is a media timeout in each of the 4 periods. There may also be a media timeout between the first and second periods and between the third and fourth periods. The 7th media timeout will be the first team call timeout of the second half. Here is how the media timeouts would work in a game. First period, no team calls a timeout. A foul is called at the 5-minute mark of the period. We would then take our first media timeout. The intermission between periods 1 and 2 will be the second media timeout. Now we're in the second period. Team A calls a timeout at the 7:40 mark of the period. We would go to media timeout and charge Team A with a timeout. Third period. Team B calls a timeout at the 8:30 mark of the period. This is the first team call timeout of the second half. We will go to a media timeout at that point and charge Team B with a timeout. Then we get to the 5-minute mark, and there is not a stoppage in play. Team B calls another timeout at 4:20, which creates the stoppage of play at or under the 5-minute mark. We go to our 5th media timeout and charge Team B with a timeout. The intermission between periods 3 and 4 will be a media timeout. Fourth period. Team A calls a timeout at 6:25 on the clock. We will go to our 7th and final media timeout and charge Team A with a timeout. There will be no more media timeouts unless the game goes into overtime and your electronic media agreement requires a media timeout in the extra period. If so, the first call timeout of the period, of the overtime period, will become a media timeout. The 2015-16 areas of concern are: enforce the rules as written, freedom of movement, which includes players moving without the ball and screening action, contact on and by the ball handler dribbler, post play, including 3-second violations. Cleaning up post play includes enforcing illegal action before the post player even receives the ball, which includes cuts to and through the lane area, the initial post-up positioning by both the offense and defense, and 3-second violations. Legal guarding, restricted area, lower defensive box plays, which will include block charge plays, and then finally, bench decorum and sportsmanship. During the last 2 seasons, much attention was given to the illegal contact on and by the ball handler dribbler. The game will be officiated no differently on the perimeter this season. The one defensive change is how the post defender will be allowed to guard a player who has the ball with her back to the basket while in the post area. The defender may use one forearm or one hand with a bend in the elbow. 2 points of contact, 2 hands, 2 forearms, 1 hand, 1 forearm is illegal contact. A foul will be called. The body or knee is not an acceptable point of contact when guarding an offensive post player who has the ball with her back to the basket. Any displacement or holding by the offensive or defensive player will continue to be deemed a foul. As a reminder, the post player turns and faces the basket. That person is now a ball handler dribbler. All ball handler dribbler guarding rules then apply. Lastly, designate someone on your staff to be the officiating contact person. That designee should be responsible for knowing the playing rules, for reviewing information, bulletins, interpretations, and videos posted on the NCAA and SABO.org officiating websites, and for evaluating the officials after each home and away SABO game. Please contact me if you have any questions about the information shared on this video. Have a great season.